10 Disturbing Unsolved Mysteries in America that no one can explain. What if the strangest mysteries weren't just stories? What if they were real, happening to everyday people, just like you and me? Today, we uncover 10 chilling, unsolved mysteries that defy explanation. Get ready for stories that will make you question reality and wonder, could this happen to you? Number 1. The man who dreamed of a murder before it happened. What if you dreamed of a murder so vivid, so real, that when you woke up, you thought it had already happened? That's exactly what happened to Daniel Carter, a schoolteacher from Cincinnati, Ohio. In October of 2017, Daniel had a nightmare unlike any other. He saw a man being attacked in an alley behind a gas station. He could see the street sign, Westwood Fuel, and the time on the nearby clock, 2:17 a.m. The next morning, Daniel turned on the news, and his heart dropped. A man had been found murdered behind Westwood Fuel at 2:17 a.m. The street, the location, the time, all identical to his dream. Shaken, Daniel went to the police, trying to explain that he had seen the crime before it happened, but they dismissed him. The thing is, Daniel had never even been to that gas station before, and the victim had no connection to him. There's no logical explanation for how Daniel could have known in such detail what would happen. Number 2. The man who answered his own 911 call. In Tennessee, one night in 2013, Michael Harper, a mechanic, called 911. He was alone in his home, and something didn't feel right. "There's someone in my house," he whispered into the phone. "I think they have a knife." The dispatcher stayed on the line as officers were dispatched to his address. But when they arrived, they found Michael's body in his bedroom. His throat had been slit. He was dead. Here's the twist. When they listened to the 911 call, they realized it was Michael's voice on the line. But he had been dead for over an hour by the time the call came in. The question remains, who made the call? How did it happen? Number 3. The bridge that whispers at night. In California, there's a bridge known to locals as Blackwood Bridge. At night, drivers say they hear whispers calling their names, but there's no one around. One driver, Ethan Wallace, was crossing the bridge late one evening when he heard the whisper. "Ethan, turn around." The voice was so clear, so real, it sent shivers down his spine. Ethan slammed on his brakes, but when he looked around, no one was there. The next morning, he saw the news. There had been a landslide on the far side of the bridge just minutes after he stopped. Had the voice saved his life, or was it something else entirely? Number 4. The disappearing flight that landed the 20 years later. Imagine a flight that vanishes without a trace. Now imagine it coming back, 20 years later. In 1995, Flight 349 took off from New York City. It was a routine trip, but something went horribly wrong. The plane disappeared, never to be heard from again. The world assumed it had crashed, but no wreckage was ever found. Then, in 2015, the plane appeared at LAX, landing safely. The same passengers were on board, none of them having aged a single day. They had no memory of the missing years. The strangest part? They didn't look a day older than when they first disappeared. Number 5. The house that rebuilt itself. In a quiet neighborhood in Texas, a house was torn down. The owners, the Morris family, had decided to move to a new place. The house was demolished, or so they thought. But a few weeks later, something impossible happened. The house was rebuilt. It stood untouched, at the exact same spot. The same furniture was inside, and the Morris family was there, yet they had no memory of ever leaving. They didn't know how it had happened, but the house was now perfectly intact. Every time they tried to sell it, they found the exact same house, back on the market. Number 6. The Stranger in the Family Photo. James Walker, a man from Boston, was looking through old family albums when he found something disturbing, a photograph from a family reunion. He recognized everyone, except for one person. In the background, a man with a face he didn't know, standing near his parents. James couldn't shake the feeling that the man looked exactly like him. After showing the photo to family members, no one had ever seen the man before. Years passed and James moved on. Until one day, he ran into someone on the street, someone who looked eerily familiar. It was the man from the photo. The stranger looked at him and said, "I've been trying to find you for years." Number 7. The lake that swallowed an entire town. In the 1950s, a town in Georgia, Lake Hill, was swallowed by a massive reservoir. The entire town, its homes, shops, and schools, was submerged underwater to make way for the lake. But the locals say that if you listen closely, you can still hear voices from below. People report hearing children's laughter and the faint hum of music at night, and some say they've seen figures in the fog, standing near the lake's edge, staring back at them. In 2008, a fisherman claimed to see an old man standing in the water, waving. He approached the man, but when he reached out, the figure vanished. Number 8. The twin that wasn't supposed to exist. In 2014, Emma Sullivan, a woman from Texas, was doing her grocery shopping when she saw someone who looked exactly like her. The woman was standing at the checkout counter, wearing the same red jacket and had the same shocked expression on her face. The woman turned and looked directly at Emma. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I should be asking you that," Emma replied. To her shock, the woman was her identical twin, but Emma had no memory of having a sibling. The woman explained that she had been adopted and never knew Emma existed. Number 9. The Time Traveler's Notebook. In a small thrift store in Chicago, a man named Raymond Hill found an old notebook. The cover was worn, but the pages inside were crisp and full of detailed notes. The notebook described events that hadn't happened yet. Raymond couldn't believe his eyes. The notebook described the exact date, time, and details of events that would occur in the future, down to the smallest detail. Raymond thought it was a hoax. But when the events started unfolding, exactly as written, he realized this was no ordinary notebook. Someone knew what was going to happen next. Number 10. The child who remembers his past life in detail. In 2016, a 5-year-old boy named Noah Kingston from Texas shocked his parents with something completely unexpected. He started speaking about a life that wasn't his. Noah claimed that he had lived in a different state before, in a house by the ocean. He gave detailed descriptions of people, places, and even the car accident that killed him. At first, his parents dismissed it, but Noah's descriptions were too accurate. They even matched a missing person case that had been unsolved for years. Could it be possible that Noah was remembering the life of someone else? Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next video.